Alright everyone, today we're going to be making an overcoat, specifically a paletot in the style of the paletots from the early 20th century. Starting off with a draft here based on my bodice block and pictures found online, though I kinda wish, now that I finished it, that I had used a period drafting manual, but turned out pretty alright, in my humble opinion. You can also now buy this design from houseofdimmer.com. Fancy that. Okay. So, I'm still very much in front. So I have powder pieces. The new one's drafted out. I don't think we're going to do a second mock-up because there were only a couple issues. It wasn't really any fit issues. It was just I didn't draft big enough, and then it was like how I drafted out the pleats. Nope. Go. There's backyards, Burmese bridges, black, super fine.
What are you doing here?
Tailoring.
Tailoring?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Dude, I got such long arms. Can you make all of my shirts, dress shirts, fit me now? And that's so cool.
We do bespoke and make it work, so not so much alterations as much as new garments.
What's the difference between tailoring and...
So nowadays tailors do also do a lot of alterations, but so instead of
add fabric, right? Tailoring in my head right now. Sorry to cut you off. I'm thinking you take fabric to make it more swimming or more.
So that's gonna be an alteration because you're altering the garment. What I do is I make new garments for people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Let's do that. So
Yeah.
Full suits and shirts and they get some Italian silk.
Italian silk.
I'm a huge Italian. I love the quality of everything in Italy. What's your fabric?
I don't know if I can work with Italian.
Right. I want to challenge your. Right. It's not fun.
I've worked with silk, not necessarily Italian silk.
Thank you.
Yep.
The main body panels are not the only thing we have to cut out today. Oh no, for instance, we also have to cut out some bolts for the pockets. The pocketing, which I'm using just a simple black cotton broadcloth. I was going to use this for the lining as well, but ended up going with a more fun option that we will get to in just a sec. Cutting them out, I decided to go with a singular bag style, so each pocket, the bag of the pocket, instead of being two panels that are stitched together, it is just kind of wraps around at the bottom. I also have to cut out some tailoring canvas. I'm using some linen canvas from Bias Bespoke, and then I'm also cutting out some horsehair canvas, which will be used to add just a little bit more structure. You don't want to use horsehair canvas for your main canvas because it's far too stiff. This is only for in that plastron area, which is like, I'm just showing you how stiff the horse's hairs are. I actually have to get my vacuum and clean up the edges here. But the horsehair canvas used in the plastron is going to give that section a lot of strength. But you don't want that everywhere in the front of your jacket. You don't want that for the base layer. You really just only want it in that plastron. And the book that I'm referencing for the tailoring construction, I'll put a link in the description, shows how to shape the plastron that I'm cutting out here. It's kind of weird. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a triangle with a circle and a dart. Yeah. Triangle, circle, dart. And then I'm also having to cut that same shape out of a piece of flannel. I think that they wanted me to use wool flannel, but I used cotton flannel because it was cheaper. You see I traced the dart and I cut it out right there. Don't do that. That was a mistake on my part. I missed that part of the book. So yeah, and then I'm using this black and white striped floral cotton from Mood Fabrics for the lining. It's really pretty, and I wish I had more. So I wanted to give you a quick little tour of all the different pieces. Oh boy. So here we have the over collar out of the Velveteen. This is the collar canvas out of the tailoring canvas. Here's the undercollar out of the wool. This is the front lining, side back lining. This is the front canvas. This is the back lining, sleeve lining, skirt lining. This is the welts for the pockets. This is some interfacing for those welts. And here's the pocket bags. This is the flannel that covered the plastron. Here's the actual plastron out of the hair canvas. Here's the skirt facings. The skirt front facing. The side back panel, the actual one. This is the skirts, actual skirts. Sleeves, front facing for the front body, which is here. And the back. 39 individual panels. Wow. Okay, so the coat is going to have these two giant pleats in the back, and they caused so much trouble. Oh my good god. So, what I'm doing now is that I'm taking the lining and I have folded under the seam allowance at the top and at the hem, at the top of the pleats and then at the hem. And then I'm just going to fold in the pleats and baste them. I end up having to redo this later, I'm pretty sure, because the way that the lining and the pleats end up working. Essentially, I wanted the pleats to still be able to open up, but also I wanted it to be lined. It's because the pocket is in the skirt, and I wanted the pocket to not just be hanging there. I wanted it to be encased in lining, so I couldn't just not have a lining in the skirt. So I have a lining in the skirt. However, the skirt is pleated, so the skirt lining needs to have pleats, and I want the skirt to still be able to open up the pleats, so they need to like nest inside of each other, which is kind of tricky. Honestly, the way I ended up doing it is kind of good, but also kind of weird. I kind of wish I had just like said fuck it and just like shut up. I will be with you shortly. I kind of wish that I had just had the lining just not have the pleats and the pleats on the wool just be decorative but not functional. I am busy, sir. My cat would like to say hello. Hello? My. The way that I ended up doing it's kind of interesting. Another way I could have probably done it is just kind of like flatline the skirt essentially. So instead of having it be like bag, so like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Essentially, like when the skirt gets attached at the waist, it would also attach the lining, which is kind of what I did. Anyway, let's move on to pocketing. So I'm just marking out the stitch lines here on I'm marking out the stitch line here on the pocket welt, and then I am basting in a piece of tailored canvas that I showed you earlier. This is just to give the pocketing a little bit more structure so that it doesn't like bag out or anything like that. So I'm just basting it in. It will get secured later. I'm then stitching the welt to the pocket bag here just at the top. Or well, yeah, at the top of the welt, because usually you would have the welt kind of fold over the top, but I forgot to cut it that big, so I didn't. I have stitched it now, and I'm basting it to the skirt fabric where I want the pocket to be, and I'm gonna go sew that in just a second. Basting is so helpful. Avoid all sharp pins in such weird spaces. I still use pins. Pins are good. So I've now stitched that together. Just a quick little match cut. I'm now cutting open the pocket slit as well as these two little corners at the end, which will help us secure down all the seam allowances and stuff. I think I just removed the basting is what I just did there. So I'm now folding the pocketing to the inside. And I believe the next step I'm going to do is do a stitch in the ditch along that bottom seam of the welt once I get everything folded and placed how I want it to be, which is taking a minute. Okay, so I've just stitched in the ditch, which connects. It catches the pocketing and also with the canvas, and then I just stitch the pocket bag, the top up to the seam allowance and the sides together. I'm now preparing the canvas, so I have to close off that dart, which is what I'm going off and doing now. I've seen any good movies lately. I saw Megan a few weeks ago. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm back. So I've just cross-stitched that on the machine, or zigzag stitched, I guess, to close up that dart. And then I'm gonna grab the flannel. Nope. Marking the roll line. Okay. So we're placing the canvas half an inch back from the roll line, essentially, and then we'll trim it so that it doesn't overhang the tailoring canvas, the linen canvas. The book that I'm doing is from like the 80s or 90s, so it's not like a period tailoring instruction manual, but it's what I'm using, and it turned out pretty good. Unless my big shoes. So we're just trimming off the excess canvas. Focus, that's what I'm doing. Now I add the flannel. The flannel is just going to, I was just showing y'all, don't do what I did. Don't cut that dart out. So the flannel is going to cover up the horsehair canvas on the inside so that doesn't like scratch you. Because horsehair is stabby. I've heard from like on Nicole's channel that you should also cover the sides of the plastron with tailor's tape. This book didn't tell me to do that. I didn't do that. I think I might do that in the future. That's another just to encase the horsehair canvas so that it doesn't like work its way through the lining and stab you. I had to go get my thread snips because we're now going to baste this in. We're going to baste it in and then we're going to pad stitch it. But basting allows us to have it secure before we can start pad stitching, which is, I believe, what I'm doing now. Without having a bunch of pins. Also, basting allows for a smoother finish. It allows you to join the two layers and keep them smooth, whereas a pin is going to like work up it's going to deform the fabric. So basting, very important in tailoring, will help you keep things smooth. The pad stitching, which I just completely glossed over, works the canvas into a curved shape. It's just like a zigzag basting stitch that you hold in a particular way in order to like quilt a curve into it. I'm now basting that canvas here in this shot onto the main body piece, the front piece. Again, the basting is going to help keep it married for now. Excuse me. Keep it married, make sure that it's flat. I'm smoothing it down as I go. And now I'm just attaching the side panel. Side panels are very important. It's really more of a side back panel. It's a style that I saw a lot in the imagery from the era. I'm just attaching this to my machine. Okay, so I have here the main body of the coat all assembled. I've done up the shoulder seams, and I have put it on for a bit of a fitting. And as I'm trying to show you, so okay, so here, as you can maybe kind of see, maybe if I get this out of the way, the way I've installed these front skirt panels, it doesn't sit straight down. It has this kick out. The angle here, I feel like I probably should have, if I wanted to have the pattern piece be shaped like this, it should have had this angled piece be in the back seam, so that's what would get stitched back in the pleat up against the center back panel, and then this would have been the straight down seam out. Yeah, because this is basically just like a, yeah, anyway, so, but there's no really fixing that at this point. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to adjust the pattern piece so that it does just go straight down, and then we'll even out the hem later. Because like if I close it up right here, you get this giant pleat fold thing here, because like there'll be buttons up here, maybe like down here, but not like all the way down. So this is just gonna be loosey-goosey, and we don't really want that. We don't really want it to have that fullness in the front. In this big fold. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just like take this over to the table, continue this straight line of the bodice, the top portion, all the way down, and just cut off this triangle piece. That's kind of doing it. But it's gonna be a lot smoother. And it's just gonna, I just feel like it's gonna look a lot better. It's still a lot of fullness, especially for a coat. Especially like these Paletot coats didn't really have a lot of full skirts. I think my plan initially was to do a frock coat, but then I wasn't really liking how frock coats were looking when I was looking on Google Images, and Pinterest and stuff. So I found the Paletot and decided to go with that. But I think the fullness of the skirts of the frock coats were kind of sticking over in my mind. So that's why I wanted to go with this level of fullness, but it's just too much. It's too much. So, well, I mean, it would be a nice fullness if it wasn't just how it hangs, is the thing. So, we're gonna lose some fullness, but nothing can't handle. Plus, like, all of the fullness is going to be, actually, we're not really losing any fullness, really, because all the fullness is going to be from the overlap here. So, like, if we'll lose some fullness when it's open, but not really when it's closed, if that makes sense. So, yeah, we're not losing much fullness, actually. So yeah, I'm gonna cut these off, and then I'm gonna have to make those adjustments also on the lining pieces, and then I can get the lining assembled and get the lining in. But I also have to do the collar first before I put the lining in. Also, can I just say, let's get up closer. This tailoring is really good. I'm really proud of myself. This feels like this is like so smooth and structured and like secure, I guess, with all you cannot see it at all because it's just all black, with all the canvassing and the layering and the flannel and the horsehair and stuff. So really proud of myself with all that. So yeah. Okay, so now let's get to the collar. The collar design that I had was bad, so I'm just trying to like drape a collar pattern on here. I would not recommend doing it like this. The shape I got was weird. I would recommend finding a drafting manual that tells you how to draft a collar. I think fabricsstore.com also has a tutorial on how to draft a collar. That is much better than this method. This method is bad. So let's start talking about the construction of the collar, shall we? So the collar is made up of the undercollar and the overcollar. The undercollar is made out of, here I'm using the same wool broadcloth, but you would also maybe use wool melton, which is another type of wool felt, so that you don't have to finish the edges. And then the canvas is pad stitched onto that to have the curve that it needs to go around the neck and over the shoulder. And then the overcollar is cut very big. That's my collar pattern that you see there. And then it's just kind of shaped and worked and steamed into submission. Unfortunately, this cotton velveteen isn't very shapeable by steam, but generally wools are. Also, you just saw me there felling down the seam allowance to catch the canvas. Now we can get to work on the lining, which, as I alluded to earlier, makes me... It starts off pretty simple, you know, stitching up the seams. And then I ended up stitching through the waist seam on the wool and the lining all at once in order to anchor it and get that, like, interoperability that I needed. It then gets basted in. And then the front of the front edge on the facing gets top stitched down, because it's a wool broadcloth, like I just mentioned. It doesn't fray, so we can just do that. Working on the sleeves now, I of course sew it out of the wool and out of the lining, and then this is an interesting little tailoring trick. I'm basting the seam allowance of the wool and the lining together. This is going to make sure that they stay in place relative to each other and you don't get like twisting or bagging or anything like that, which I've had as an issue in other line sleeves that I've made, and this makes it so much easier. If you were using a two-part sleeve, this would be even more stable because you could baste down both seam allowances on both sides. This one only just has the one. And then you just kind of like reach between the two layers and flip it inside out. You know what I mean. So that like a sleeve, but inside out. So yeah, this is another tip that I got from that book that I've been referencing throughout this entire construction process. Okay, here we go. So the head of the sleeve gets gathered in and steamed into submission so that it doesn't have that much like wrinkling. I think I gathered mine too much because the wrinkling did not go away. However, I'm just basting the fabric or the sleeve into the arm side and then stitching it shut. I definitely recommend basting your sleeves in, especially with this fabric. I've had a lot of issues setting sleeves when it's just pinned in. The sleeve is just like, I'm gonna go away now. And then I'm felling down the sleeve lining to cover up that seam with my chipped nail polish. And then just giving the lapels an extra good big press. Actually did this and then went to a movie. Saw the menu. It was pretty good. Ended up seeing it twice. Wool with some steam and a hot iron. You can make it do whatever you want. My iron was not plugged into an active outlet.